This episode of Profiles in Risk is brought to you by InsurTech Connect Las Vegas. The legendary ITC is coming back to Vegas October 14 to 16 at the Mandalay Bay Casino. ITC is the largest InsurTech conference in the world by a long shot and the absolute cannot miss event of the year. We never miss it, neither should you. Register today using our discount code INSNerd200. Again, that's INSNerd200 and see you in Vegas, baby. And when you're there, look for me. I'm the guy with the red top hat and ask me for a magic trick. Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me Scott Thompson, Director of Talent Relations at True North Company. Scott, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Wonderful. It's nice. It's great to be here.
Awesome. And according to LinkedIn, you live in one of the suburbs of Des Moines.
Yep.
Even though you went to the wrong Iowa school. So I need to take a second to
I don't have a Hawkeye koozie or anything right now, but yeah, I'm definitely a Hawkeye and bleed the black and gold.
last fall was a really fun one for me, as Iowa State had a record year in football. The other 20 some years since I started my career as a Cyclone fan have generally not been as good, but last year was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it certainly was.
So I'm always curious on the weather. So you are in the Des Moines area, August 27th. Yep. So it's probably still kind of like the heat of summer, not quite the.
Actually, we're getting a reprieve right now. Okay. It hasn't been warmer than 76 the last week, which has been really awesome.
That is fantastic. The 10 years that I lived in Iowa, I always said that Iowa has 2 days of nice weather, the day that you get, the day that you leave. It's nice that this year is treating you better than that. So we're both recruiters, specialized in insurance. I spent about 4.5 years at the largest third-party recruiter in insurance, and then I started my own little shop called Top Hat Recruiting. Generally, I'm wearing a red top hat, but today I'm in purple. And we recruit mostly for InsurTechs, and on the agency side, I mean, we do a little bit of carrier side, but on the agency side, we do a ton of account management. We have seriously struggled recruiting producers. So you've got 25 years recruiting in our space. Has it been mostly agency side?
Yeah, so I started with a small insurance recruiting firm where I spent my first 16 years and where I just about exclusively focused on the agency side. There, I certainly did account managers and account executives and loss control and everything. But my specialty had always been in recruiting producers. And I didn't realize how hard that was or what a niche that was until I transitioned I transitioned over to the company side. And then I really got to know that most people don't recruit producers because it's a different ballgame.
Yep, Jacobson, where I started recruiting, didn't do producers. We do producers. We don't seem to be very good at doing producers. Against our best, we always try.
Sure.
But so what are you mostly focused, and historically have you mostly been focused on brand new producers, like bringing people who are selling something else into selling insurance, or recruiting experienced producers, or both?
Sure. I've actually been doing everything, from people coming from out of industry to new college grads to experienced producers. I've always had a lot of success with experienced producers, but we're in a market where recruiting producers it's a big challenge. And for the last, 20, 30 years, I would say that the average success rate for hiring a new producer is probably 2 to 3 in 10
Is that
that
even
are
for
success.
experienced producers?
I'm talking about for all, but even for experienced producers. And I think that when people transition to a new agency, sales is just it's hard. It's really hard work, and so people get into a position where they start somewhere new, and all of a sudden they've got to climb a mountain to get back to where they were, and they give up and go somewhere else, or they look for somewhere that's easier. So it's a real challenge. Now, if you get really good, I think you can get it up to maybe 6 in 10. But still, I mean, that's 60% isn't that great. And it's because, there's just it's a long-term consultative sale that some people just don't have the stomach for, or they don't realize that, if you're an IT salesperson, and certainly no shade to those people, they're walking in and saying, "Hey, I've got three options. Which one do you want?" And that's not what we're doing. We're selling people to say, "Hey, let us help you protect your company and you protect your dreams." And oh, here, by the way, there's a policy on the side for it too.
Okay, so the complexity of what the insurance industry sells, especially in the commercial line side, is and the customer knows nothing about what they're buying.
No, not at all. I was talking with someone just yesterday, and he's considering maybe making a move into insurance, and he worked in it was a subset of education, and he was shocked when he was calling. He probably called six or seven brokers, and none of them were that educated on how to on his specific niche that he was working in, and he just felt like he was throwing his money on a wish and a prayer that he's going to be covered correctly. And so, I think that there's a real opportunity for people that are really good consultants to just come in and make a ton of money.
The hard part is building the book, right? Once they build the book, it is an incredible career. But once you've built the book, you're kind of married to the brokerage where you built it at.
It- yes, I mean there's two parts to that question. First of all, building the book is really hard, but what I've found is that it's really those first 2 years that are especially hard, when you've got to sit and just make cold calls and develop, spheres of influence. That's hard work without a ton of reward. But once you get over that hump, it gets a lot better because you're not just making cold calls all the time. I have found that, people they are hesitant to leave when they've got a book of business because they don't want to rebuild it. But I'm seeing some changes in the non-compete realm out there, where it is a little bit easier, and it's also you just have to make a more you just have to make a compelling reason to make a move, and really it's about the amount of business you can write, not what you're making.
Okay, so to get them to make a move where you have had successes is where you're recruiting for a place where they will have the setting they need to be able to write more business.
Yeah, I think that's the real key, because I mean anyone will leave for $150,000 salary over $100,000 salary. I mean that might seem good, but if you're not given the tools to actually build a bigger book where you're going to make 400,000 instead of 300,000, I mean that's the type of that's the sale you've got to make to get that person in the door.
Okay. Has it?
has it changed significantly, or are you seeing that the kind of people that were successful producing when you first started recruiting producers are the same kind of people that are successful today?
Um, I, I don't think the job has changed a lot. The single biggest change that I've seen is in the employee benefits space. And that's a combination. I think it's really when we made a lot of changes in the employee benefit space during the early Obama administration, kind of 2008 to 2012. There were a lot of people that left the industry because they just didn't want to deal with it because it was so different. Healthcare is an increasing cost that, I mean, it's taking up more and more of the cost. And so, because of that, producers have to be so much more aware of it. Like, I mean, I would tell you 10 years ago that a producer would, sign an account and show up at the renewal the next year, and their account executive would just take care of things. And now it's at a point where, these people are on the same speed dial as the chief legal counsel and everyone else like that, and they're talking to them on a monthly, if not weekly basis, about, how they're going to manage that. Additionally, it costs so much money. There's a real push to add as much value as possible in benefits, and that's probably I think that's been the biggest change I've seen.
Because the benefit side, it's gonna a lot trickier.
Yep, yep, it has. And I don't know what the answer is for that because in the same regard, we have less benefits producers now than we did in the than we did 10 years ago.
Interesting. Is there um what about the move from from agency, meaning recruiting agency,
Sure.
to working for one of the clients?
Yeah.
What was that like? How are you liking being a dedicated recruiter to a specific client? How's it different?
You know what? It's been phenomenal, and I don't think I could ever go back. Now, and it's because I've always been kind of a true believer recruiter. I've got to believe in my candidates that they really are the right fit, and I really have to believe that I was placing them with the right person. I take a lot of pride in that. And so, at my two agency roles, there are companies that I was a true believer in and really believed that they were they were doing the right things both for their clients and for their employees. And so that's really been rewarding. It's also rewarding to, bring someone in and then be able to not only keep in touch but watch how they're growing and how they're doing, and that's really great.
Actually see them succeed.
Yes.
All right. One of the toughest things today from the candidate side, it is with AI reviewing resumes.
Sure.
Uh, how do we break through? What do you recommend to the candidates to break through the thousands of resumes that we see?
I'm pretty old school, in that I would say probably 90% of the people that I recruit, if not more, are people that I'm reaching out to on LinkedIn or that have reached out to me or email or, I mean, I actually recruited someone off of Reddit the other day. Um, that's I I don't prescribe to using AI to select people. But I would tell you that. I mean, that is the way that a lot of places are going. And so, you know, I think the way that a lot of people have been doing it right now is they send the same resume to 200 places and just pray that someone's going to respond. And instead, I think you're a lot better off if you're, looking through and finding companies where you match and then spending the time to detail your resume to match some keywords in the job description. And, again, I think it's a less, not more type of situation.
Okay, so really customize the resume to the job, and it sounds like
Yep.
to the culture. Like show me that you understand the culture, at least what we portray
Yep.
of the culture as you're applying.
But at the end of the day, I mean, what I'd still recommend more than anything is pick up the phone and call someone.
Pe- People get scared about doing that, but
Yep.
especially if you're applying for a producer role or any sort of sales role.
And I would tell you that that's what you need to do to get an account. And so I mean, that is I think the easiest way is you just, you can always reach out on LinkedIn. That's still a cold outreach. Um, but anything that you do to personally try to talk to someone is going to put you in a better position.
No fears of annoying them.
No, I mean, if you're reaching out to a recruiter, I mean that's what they're paid to do, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I and some of the best people I've ever recruited were people that picked up the phone to call me. There's one of my dearest friends that I met doing this. He worked for a large college in alumni relations, and he'd always heard about insurance and wanted to get into it. And he picked up the phone and called me and said, "Hey Scott, I think I'd be good at this." Um, you know, we've stayed in touch throughout the next 15 years. We ended up working together at one point even. I helped him into two jobs, and it was because he picked up the phone and called because I wasn't using AI at the time, but I probably would have looked at his resume and said, that's not a fit. I had a gentleman reach out to me that was coming from Allstate, which typically is not the best background for, the insurance agency side, the independent agency side. Um, and he had a different story. And I think he wrote 150,000 in revenue in his first year at one of my companies. So I think that's the best route because people are going to listen if you reach out and set yourself apart instead of just sending a resume.
Okay. For new producers, um, is it the personality? Is it the grit? Uh,
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a couple things that really make someone successful. You've got to have a lot of grit and tenacity just to make it through that first hump. And it's typically, anywhere from 12 to 36 months. But I also, I also think there's a couple other things that make people successful. Um, Surprisingly, it's not the slickest sales guys out there that can talk their way into anything. It's the people that know how to shut up and listen and ask questions. I think the most important part about selling insurance is not selling insurance. It's sitting and learning about where they have problems, where they have challenges until you can find a way to make yourself in. And then, I also feel that there's a big that there that there's a big portion of people that assume that always be selling and things like that, and it's not. It's listening, it's grit, and it's being really, really organized. Is the other thing, because this is a job where a lot of times they just kind of give you the phone book or the internet and say go to it, and so you've got to figure out how to build and plan your day and create a system for what you're doing. And those are probably the three biggest keys to success.
Right. Any personality testing for producers or
I, yeah, we do. We do about four of them right now. I was in a previous company. We did a lot with the SPQ and the Omnia. My biggest suggestion or tip is be honest, and also be looking for people that are not looking to they're not looking to knock people out based on the test, but are looking for it to ask better questions.
okay, makes sense. Um, with all technology that's coming in, do you think that the producer role will be radically changed, or will it continue to
I I don't think it's gonna radically change. I think it's gonna change more on the fringes. So you can. I think that there will be people that will use AI to make initial cold calls. I think there'll be people that use AI to, develop a source list or things like that. Um, what AI is not going to be able to do is to sit and listen to someone and be that person that's sitting there nodding their head and then make suggestions. They're not going to be able to, sit and hear someone talking about their problems and being like, you know what, I do have a solution for this that's coming through on the back end that's really going to solve it. And so it's going to. I'm certain there will be people that are going to try to automate it even more. But I just, when that happens, I feel like there's a big backlash from a lot of people that just want that they want to talk to someone about their challenges so that they can gain more.
yeah, with all the interviews that I do here on the podcast, the majority of them are tech companies, and pretty much all of them are saying that what they're doing is giving us superpower,
Yeah.
so that we can focus on the things that as humans we are uniquely suited to, and the relationship is a huge part of that.
Yep, absolutely. AI can do things faster than me. It can do things better than me, but it can't build a relationship, and it can't solve a complex problem that requires multiple people.
All right, all right. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It was great to meet you.
My pleasure. Great chatting with you.
Yep.